Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller, and happy Friday. I love Fridays. It's the end of the week. I try really, really hard to stay in on Fridays because it's like the preparation for the weekend. When I was younger, I definitely would go out on Fridays, but now it's like the day that I try to have, the evening, that I try to be so restorative and try not to do anything. Sometimes I prep like I'm doing laundry or I'm working on my computer a little bit, but I really try to just have like a night in and I'm doing like a little something for me, whether it's like painting or puzzling or crafting or watching a show or a movie that I've been looking forward to. A couple weekends ago, we went and saw Dune. That was awesome. Like, I love to just have something easy and go to bed at a proper time for sure. Or even like sometimes I stay up a little bit because it's like, oh, tomorrow's Saturday, I get to sleep in. Fridays are so near and dear to my heart. I like Mondays too, like don't get me wrong, but like there's something so special about a Friday. It's like the week is complete. We can finally take a breath, we can chill, and we have the weekend, like the full weekend to look forward to. So I always love a Friday. And this Friday I have 3 question submissions for you for the Ask the Gals segment. If you would like to submit a question, you can either DM me at Golden Hour Drip on Instagram. You can shoot me an email at goldenhourdrip@gmail.com, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can comment down below your question. If you submit it through DM or email, it will absolutely be anonymous. And while you're at it, be sure to like and review the podcast. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. It helps the show more than you know. So let's get into it. The first question. I hear you talk about spring cleaning and switching out your clothes seasonally. What is your system for that? Okay, spring is here. I love spring. I love the transition of my clothing, and you're totally right. I've done so many episodes about like my clothing transition, and I really think that it's imperative for my brain to kind of forget about some of the clothes I have, to not worry about them. I box them up, and it gives me the chance to not continuously like see them in my closet and think, oh, like I might wear that, or I'm not gonna wear that, or last time I wore that I didn't feel as comfortable in it. Like I pack it away, and it just gives me the chance to look at them with new eyes, honestly. Like I'm able to just take a look at my clothing when I'm bringing them down from the attic, and I think, oh, like, do I still like this? Do I want to have it in my closet, or should I donate it? My system is pretty easy, to be honest. It's just like, am I gonna wear this in the spring and summer? If I'm gonna wear this like during those time periods, I'm gonna pack them up in the fall and winter. I use like totes. I have 2 totes that I like switch out for the clothing, and I pack it up, I put it upstairs, and I forget about it. As for seasonal decor, I don't have that much decor, but the themed like napkins or tablecloths, decorations, like Christmas is probably like the most decorations I have, because like, you know, we have ornaments and we have a tree. It's so crazy to think about Christmas, honestly. Like I feel like it was just the other day. It's only been 3 months since December, but we're in like a whole new year and everything. It's just so wild to think about Christmas, because I'm trying to welcome summer. But I definitely love to like organize it this year. Like I put my ornaments in like an actual ornament box. I think it's important to protect your items, so making sure that you're packaging them away properly, because it sucks when you spend so much money and energy on certain items and then you don't store them properly, and then moisture gets in there. Like if you have a basement, or if you are using a storage unit, or if you have them out in the garage, like there's so many elements that can be detrimental to your clothing or your stuff. So I live out in the country, and although like at my current house I don't have this problem, when I was growing up, like we had mice. Like there was mice that could get into our stuff because our storage was like in a Morton building. So it was in a separate building away from the home. And if I did not properly shut a tote, a little mouse, a little country mouse would definitely find its way into the tote, make a mess of my clothing, right? Tear it up, make a nest, and it was really frustrating to come back and be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't shut my stuff. Now there's a mouse nest. Like that's really frustrating. If you live in the city, I know that you also like have different types of vermin that can get into your improperly stored things. If it's in your home though, you usually don't have to worry about it. But yeah, making sure I store it properly. And ultimately, like I try to do a little bit of an audit of thinking, okay, do I still want this? Do I still need this? Can I donate this? Can I, repurpose this somehow? That really helps with my budget, and it also helps with just like the amount of stuff actually in my home at any point in time. Like I'm not worried about like moving it to one corner and moving it to the other, and putting it in storage really does allow me to have the most opportunity for like to enjoy my home, if that makes sense. The second question: hi golden girls, I need a reset. I feel like I'm just going through the motions of my day. My energy feels so drained, and at the end of my workday I don't feel like doing anything. So even when I have time, I don't feel like I am utilizing it properly. How do I start living life again? Thanks. Okay, I feel like we've all felt this way at one time or another, where it's so like counterintuitive, like almost we have in our brain, I want to be able to do this, I want to be able to have fun, make plans with my friends, go out and experience life. I think social media definitely like has an impact on this, because we pull open our phones, we look through the apps, and it seems like everybody is doing something so amazingly fun, and it feels like we're kind of left out. So then we think, oh, like I want to do something fun too. We schedule it, we plan it, and by the time that time rolls around, or that big trip, or that big, girls gathering, it can feel really annoying because we're just drained. We're like, I don't even want to go. We've all felt that way before. It's the lack of energy for the fun things in life. And I remember, in the past, and even sometimes now, where I feel like I'm doing too much, I feel like there's too much on my plate, and I don't have any time to actually enjoy. Or by the time evening rolls around, I also feel dead, where I'm doom scrolling, or I am watching TV and not doing anything productive, not doing anything on my list, not doing something that brings me joy or brings me happiness. I mean, I love hobbies, and I have multiple hobbies, right? Like I love to go outside, I love to garden, I love to go for walks, go for runs, I like to paint, I like to draw, I like to journal, I like to read books, and all of those things can fill us up and bring us so much light. But if we aren't making the time for them, right? Like we forget about them, we forget about the joy that it actually brings. But also if we don't have the energy to even pull from, then it feels really, really hard to even participate in those hobbies or the things that actually bring us joy and bring us happiness. For me, because I like to do so much, I really try to plan a day where I can focus on the things that are gonna like help me have the most centered and calm mind. So Sundays are usually this day for me. I try really hard not to schedule anything on a Sunday. On Saturdays, that's where I can like go. Usually on Saturdays, like I'm not home at all. Like I'm out, I'm about, I'm trying to get things done. I'm trying to be productive. I'm trying to socialize. That's why it's so important that I bookend Saturdays with like a chill Friday and a chill Sunday. This does not always happen. Like my Sundays sometimes are filled with family events, or I do have a meeting scheduled for Sunday that I can't miss. I have to go. So that can also be frustrating because you want to carve out this time and you want to be able to. Hey, I hope that you're enjoying today's podcast episode. Just a quick interruption to let you know that Golden Hour Drip has a weekly newsletter that comes out. This has bonus content, weekly updates, and future event information. If you haven't already, go down to the show notes, click the link, and join today. Now, back to the show. Like, have rest or actually have play, but even a Wednesday, like, it does not have to be just scheduled for a weekend. Having chill nights is also really important, and literally shutting off your brain, not worrying about work, not worrying about all the other things that seem to almost eat away at our time. And I think being present is so important to actually enjoy those moments. It's when I'm thinking about the future and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have this to do and I have this to do and I need to make sure I'm on track for this project or that project. It's when I am fully present, I can actually enjoy, and I have the clarity in my mind to then be like, yes, I would schedule that coffee date, or I do have time to read my book. And I think when we are feeling the most drained, when we are feeling the most burnt out, it's when we're not doing enough for ourselves. So when we are go, 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 and we're always pouring into other people's cups, this is where self-care is so important to say, hey, like, how can I fill my own cup? How can I feel more centered? How can I feel in the present? It's overwhelming though. Like, I totally understand. I totally get it. Like, if you're feeling this way and you're like, my job is crazy, I am so tired, I might have, children or a spouse or other obligations that take part of my time, and it can feel so overwhelming to even start. My advice would be to pick an hour, pick 30 minutes. If you don't have an hour or 30 minutes of time to spend on yourself, it's time to start saying no to some things and clearing out your calendar a bit. When you say yes to things over and over and over and your calendar's full and you're like, Logan, I literally don't have 10 minutes to myself. That's when we need to start having those hard conversations, start saying no, so then we can say yes to the things that make us happy, like getting a pedicure, taking a nap, a weekend nap. Ooh, I love a weekend nap. Or saying yes to the things that actually are gonna bring us joy and happiness. So I'm with you in this, girl. You are almost out of winter. I feel like the longer days can definitely help with energy levels. And carve out some time just for you, not anybody else, and just do something that is gonna make you happy, not something that's necessarily gonna push the needle. So it doesn't have to be laundry, or it doesn't have to be cleaning your house or working on a project. Like, do something that is literally just for you. And if you can even sit in silence or sit with like some calming music or be outside, like those are all great grounding techniques to just be fully present, fully in the moment, and express some gratitude for that moment. And then you can gain the momentum to continuously schedule time for yourself and continuously be happy where you're at, and having the energy build of, hey, like, this is fun, I want to spend more time doing this. The work-life balance is really, really hard, but once you achieve it, once you capture it, I promise you it's going to be life-changing. All right, question number 3. I feel like I take everything so personally. I don't know how not to get my feelings hurt. How can I develop more confidence in myself? I definitely feel like there's nothing wrong with being more empathetic or more emotional. There's nothing wrong with that. Especially if this is what you gravitate to. In regards to getting your feelings hurt though, that is now detrimental to yourself. So while I think it's amazing that you are more sensitive to topics or sensitive to situations, if it's ultimately being detrimental to you, that's when there's a problem, right? And I would definitely say that I get my feelings hurt too. I think we all do, right? It can be how our friend treats us in like a group setting, or what our boss says to us about our work performance, or someone who you confide in doesn't take your, situation seriously. Like, we all get our feelings hurt, and it's okay to have those feelings hurt, right? Like, we can feel sad. There's nothing wrong with feeling sad, being emotional, or even just like not being happy all the time. If you are wanting to kind of build your skin a little bit, and I think this is such a gross term, but people are like, grow thick skin, or you need to have tougher skin. I'm like, first off, I want to have beautiful baby skin, okay? Like, I'm trying to do the facials. I'm trying to make sure I have all of my skincare, right? Like, I hate the term tough skin. But if you are wanting to create some sort of a barrier between people who might not have your best interests at heart, or someone who's just like downright mean to you, building the confidence in yourself is to say, you know what, like, it's okay to be misunderstood. It's okay that they aren't going to understand or realize where I'm coming from. And telling yourself that is so helpful, because then it automatically takes out the pressure that they have to understand you, that they don't know where you're coming from, that's not why you said it. Ultimately, it's a way to protect your mind from overthinking it, because I overthink, and I'll lay up in bed and I'm like, oh, like, I wish this would have been better, I wish this would have been better, how could I have reacted differently to this situation, or how could they say that, that's so mean, right? Like, we've all spiraled. And I think something that has really helped me ultimately is saying it's okay to be misunderstood. And I don't know where they're coming from, right? Like, they might be having a bad day, they might be struggling with something, and I'm not gonna allow their mold, I always think of it as mold in my head, I'm not gonna allow their mold to get on my fresh fruit, right? Like, I'm not gonna allow them to kind of poison my water, right? Because energy is so contagious. And when we are around those individuals who don't make us feel good, it kind of breeds that energy in our body, right? And we might have that negative emotional status. We're like, oh, like, my friends are so mean, or they gossip, like, now I'm gonna be mean, now I'm gonna gossip. So I think surrounding yourself with people who are, lifting you up, who don't make you feel bad, and instead are more positive, who uplift you. I truly think that everyone is coming from their own circumstances, but we don't have to allow that to impact our day or to impact our mind, our body, our spirit, everything. I hate staying up late at night overthinking the things that were said or the bad feelings I have. So I totally understand. I totally get it. I think separation is like the first step, separating yourself from this individual who doesn't make you feel good. If you can't separate yourself from it, like say it's a boss and you're kind of like stuck in a contract, or it's your teacher or a family member and you can't really like separate yourself that much, I think just like having the mantra of like, this is about them, it's not about me, or they're coming from a place where this is like their only technique or their only strategy to cope with their own emotions, and it's still completely separate from you, and then it's okay to be misunderstood. It's okay for them to not know where you're coming from. That has, again, nothing to do with you. So it might not be a confidence thing. It might just be a different way of thinking that you can implement and think, hey, like, it's not about me, this is about them. And if you continually like internalize like what other people say to you, it's like drinking poison and hoping the other person will die. I know people say that about like holding a grudge. I think the same thing goes for any sort of like ill intent or bad situation where you just continuously think about it. that's impacting you. I guarantee you they're not thinking, oh my gosh, like, I'm so glad that I made Logan feel bad today. Like, they're not thinking that, because in the moment they're like, yeah, I'm gonna make you feel bad. And then they go along with their day and they don't even think about it. So for me, I'm just like, this person is not even thinking about it. This is about them. This is not about me. And I'm gonna not allow their little moldy, bad attitude impact my attitude. So I hope that helps. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be empathetic. That's what makes you you. And there's nothing wrong with that. So thank you to everyone who has submitted your questions. I love doing the Ask the Gal segment. I just think it's so fun to connect on a deeper level and to also like go through situations, because I mean, you never know who's going to be able to relate to your story or relate to the situation that they're going through, because that person could also be going through it. So thank you for listening. Thank you for submitting. And I hope to see you next week. Bye.